Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, let me tell you about the latest special from Mike Lindell at MyPillow. The standard MyPillow, normally $49.98 for a limited time only, just $14.88 with promo code Joey. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and see all the specials. There's a limited quantity of just 10 at this special price. That's $14.88 with promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. It was a big day in Daytona, Florida yesterday with President Donald Trump being on hand for the start of the Great American Race. The president, riding in the Beast, led the drivers on a lap before the race began. It's the second time he's attended the event. We have some of the highlights. The White House scorched moron left-wing senator for seething over what was an obvious Trump family parody account on X. The White House's rapid response team had too much fun with this one. You're going to want to hear this. Proposed legislation in the South Carolina General Assembly will target wasteful, fraud, and oppressive spending in regulations and the state's budget, according to the Post and Courier, who asked the question, so why are Republicans offering it when they've been running the show for a few decades? It's a valid question. We'll dig in a bit. And a South Carolina independent news organization wrote an article over the weekend that disclosed that there are 30 South Carolina state parks that are offering free electric vehicle charges. Evidently, the state is offering to charge your EV for free. I have the details for you in today's show.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson Bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson Bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Here's a story for you from over the weekend. Democrat Senator Chris Murphy, one of the biggest Trump haters in the swamp, just got completely humiliated. Why? Because he fell hook, line, and sinker for a parody account on X, formerly known as Twitter, of course. Here's what happened. Murphy saw a fake Laura Trump fan page and went on a profanity-laced tirade about free speech and so-called authoritarianism. I mean, you can't make this up. Murphy, in his usual outrage ignorance, took a fake post seriously, accusing President Trump's administration of threatening Democrats with arrest. Now, instead of doing a little bit of research, which is easy to do, checking the name of the account, for example, he ranted about how Trump has some effing gall to talk about free speech. Yeah, he said that after the left spent years colluding with big tech to silence conservatives, the irony is absolutely just stunning, isn't it? And then, and this is the best part, the White House's rapid response account, which is a brilliant new tool that is set up to call out fake news in real time, just slammed Senator Murphy. They called him a moron, and let's be honest, that's putting it nicely. The White House made it crystal clear that this page was obviously a parody. It doesn't take much looking into it to realize that it is a parody. It's a parody Laura Trump site. Has nothing to do with President Trump, has nothing to do with his family, has nothing to do with Laura Trump or the administration for that matter. But hey, they do support Murphy's right to make a fool of himself in front of the entire country. He does have that freedom. Now, let's talk about what Murphy thought he was responding to. It was a post about border czar Tom Homan, who, by the way, is doing a phenomenal job cleaning up Biden's absolute disaster at the border. Homan rightfully asked if AOC crossed a legal line when the congressman from New York and her team posted a guide instructing illegal immigrants on how to evade law enforcement. We talked about this some last week. The radical left's golden girl is openly helping people break immigration laws, and the Trump administration is simply asking, is this legal? It's a valid question. But instead of engaging in an actual debate, Murphy went off on a fake post from a fan account and then got fact-checked into oblivion with a community note pointing out his mistake. And here's the bigger picture. This is exactly what we're up against. This is what President Trump is up against. This is what his entire administration is up against. The left desperately wants to control the narrative. They spread misinformation. They get duped by hoaxes. They're too lazy to really check this for themselves. And then they double down when they're exposed. And that's exactly what happened to Senator Chris Murphy. The White House is not going to have this anymore. They're setting the record straight in real time. And honestly, it's about time. It's about time that this takes place. So my message to Senator Chris Murphy, if he happens to be listening today, which I doubt that he is, maybe next time, check your sources before you embarrass yourself again. And to the rest of America, this is why we fact-check the left, because if we don't, they'll keep lying, they'll keep misleading, they'll keep making complete fools of themselves in the process. Maybe we should just let them on the ladder. More great news coming out of the Trump administration's war on government waste. You know, the news that's coming out of Doge is just head-spinning. It's hard to keep up with it. Over the weekend, HUD Secretary Scott Turner was on some of the major news channels, and he announced a brand new Department of Government Efficiency task force to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse at his agency, HUD. And guess what? They've already recovered billions of misplaced dollars from the Biden administration. Misplaced dollars is the key word there. $1.9 billion in HUD money had been sitting around, lost in the bureaucratic abyss, until Trump's team came in and started cleaning house. What was this money earmarked for? Well, supposedly it was for financial services that were no longer needed. So it's been sitting there. I don't know how long, but it's just sitting there. Nowhere to go. No longer needed. Are you kidding me? This is your taxpayer dollars, money that Biden's administration, quote, misplaced, while hardworking Americans like you and me have struggled during sky-high inflation during the Biden-Harris administration. Thanks to President Trump's leadership, thanks to Elon Musk's Doge team, thanks to HUD Secretary Turner jumping in there from day one, this money is being recovered and redirected. And Secretary Turner is making sure it doesn't happen again. His HUD Doge task force within HUD is going through every dollar, every program, every nook and cranny of this bloated bureaucracy to make sure taxpayers aren't getting ripped off. And it doesn't stop at HUD. Doge is sweeping across the federal government at all levels. So, let's do a quick review. In addition to HUD, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, of course, last week canceled 50 million so-called environmental justice grants. Environmental justice grants. What exactly is an environmental justice grant? It was going to a radical left-wing group pushing anti-Israel activism. Did you hear about this one? Let me repeat. Our tax dollars were about to fund an organization that claims, quote, climate justice runs through a free Palestine. A free Palestine. And guess what? The Department of Defense is next. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is partnering with Doge to cut wasteful spending in our military budget because, yes, even the Pentagon needs to be held accountable. We don't need to do anything that's going to potentially affect our nation's security. But I guarantee you, they can find some money in that Department of Defense budget that probably is wasteful as well. Here's the big picture. This is exactly what President Trump promised in last year's campaign, and this is why we elected him. This is what we signed up for. And I love it how these Democrats are running around screaming and wailing and gnashing their teeth that, you know, this is just going too far and this is not what people wanted. But yes, it is. This is exactly what people wanted. And multiple polls in the past couple of weeks have proven that people are saying, yes, we want these cuts. Yes, we want this waste out of our government. Biden's administration let billions of dollars get lost, mismanaged, or funneled into radical pet projects. Trump's team is finding them, fixing them, and giving the American people the government they deserve, and he's doing it quickly. And the left is panicking. Why? Because when you start exposing waste, you start exposing corruption, you start stepping on toes. And you better believe that before this is all said and done, in the coming few years, I suspect we're going to see some people who are charged with criminal acts. I suspect we're going to see some people prosecuted. I suspect we may see some people from the Biden administration maybe even go to jail. It probably won't be hard to find them. There's a lot of talk about making America great again, and it begins with making America healthy again. Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team at PhD Weight Loss are at the forefront to educate and guide you to be your best self. The millions being spent in propping up Big Pharma are astounding, only to create long-term dependency and harmful side effects. Let's take a natural approach that isn't connected to a pharmaceutical company's bottom line. The coaches at PhD Weight Loss will show you how. The entire program is centered around science and nutrition, a proven roadmap that has helped over 8,000 clients lose over 331,000 pounds. You'll learn what to eat and when, how to quiet cravings, and finally get rid of that belly fat. Plus, you'll never take a medication. How many pounds would you like to lose in 2025? Do it the natural way with PhD Weight Loss, here to lead the charge to make America healthy again. Call PhD Weight Loss and schedule your consultation. 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. We spoke last week about the predicament that Scout Motors in South Carolina finds themselves in. This is the electric vehicle manufacturer that has received a $1 billion+ package of tax incentives from South Carolina to build their plant outside of Columbia. The problem now, South Carolina has a law that says automobiles cannot be sold direct to consumers in the Palmetto State. Manufacturers must sell through local dealers, and this is how it's been done for years. In a lot of cases, these dealerships are local family-run dealers, some for generations. Now, Scout is wanting to change this and is asking the South Carolina legislature to change the law. And if you missed this last week, go back and listen on the podcast or go to my website, joeyhudson.com, and just find that episode. I digress a bit here because that's a whole other issue about whether or not dealers in South Carolina should be protected. The people who are proposing that Scout should be allowed, as well as Tesla and some of these other vehicles that sell direct, that they should be allowed to do that in South Carolina. That's another issue. And again, I talked about it last week. Find that episode, joeyhudson.com. This whole EV issue, though, is intriguing to me. The Biden-Harris administration worked hard for 4 years to try to mandate that you and I would be forced to buy an electric vehicle in the coming years. President Trump is changing that. We're getting back to common sense. We're getting back to let the market do what the market will do. If you want to buy an electric vehicle, wonderful. I'm happy for you. But if I want to keep buying my Chevy Silverado gas-guzzling pickup trucks, I should be allowed to do that as well. And I think that's what President Trump agrees to, believes in as well. But when you look around and you see some of the EV supportive programs that make you just kind of scratch your head, why are we doing that? For example, some of the utility companies have been installing charging stations all around the country and in South Carolina too. Take a look. You'll find them in some very unlikely places. I talked about this over a year ago when I noticed them being built in the small town of Walhalla, South Carolina, a place that I frequent quite often, right off of Main Street there. Now, maybe there's a lot of EVs around Walhalla. I don't know. I don't see them, but maybe there are. And, Joe Biden, in one of his infrastructure fiascos, boondoggles, there was going to be like 1 million EV charging stations around the country. I'm sure that's going to change now. But these couple of charging stations, and I've watched them. I've watched them being put in, and I've watched them since then. Now, obviously, I'm not there every day to watch them, but I have yet to see a single car charging at one of those charging stations since they were installed, let's say, a year and a half ago. But I stumbled across another story this weekend that had me scratching my head again. It was the headlines in the South Carolina Daily Gazette. This is an independent statewide news organization. I hadn't really quite figured out whether they're right, left. They claim to be down the center, that they're a new breed of journalist. The headline was, electric vehicle drivers can charge up for free at 30 of South Carolina's 47 state parks. They wrote, the park charging network is the result of a pair of programs, a partnership between the State Parks Department and the state's utility watchdog that brought chargers to 3 parks in 2020 and 2021. And a larger effort started in late 2022 by Rivian. Rivian is the electric vehicle maker that they installed EV chargers in the parks free of charge, gave them to them, according to Dwayne Parrish, director of the State Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. So Rivian just gave these chargers to the state and even installed them at the parks for them. Park visitors must pay an admission fee to the park, but otherwise the chargers are free to use on a first-come, first-served basis. The state picks up the tab for the electricity cost. The free chargers are part of an effort to increase charging availability in the state. Now, South Carolina remains 31st in the nation and next to last in the Southeast when it comes to the number of fast chargers per capita, according to the most recent report issued by the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy. The stations at South Carolina's parks are powerful enough to add about 25 miles of range per hour of charging, allow people to spend time at the park and return to a charged car. According to the story, most parks have 2 charging spaces, but the busier destinations have 4. The chargers work with all electric vehicles, not just Rivian. However, because the chargers are hardwired into the park's existing power connection, again, the state provides the electricity. There's no charge. So our state budget, our state tax dollars are paying for these chargers to charge the park's visitors' cars. So let's pause there. The hardwired in the park's existing power connection, so the state is paying for the electricity. Who authorized this? Who agreed that the state would just give away free electricity? I would like to be able to go to a state park, spend the day at the state park, and let somebody fill my Chevy Silverado up with gas, wouldn't you? Is anyone going to pay for that? Am I being selfish here? Am I being overreactive? So the state thinks that they got a deal because the auto manufacturer installed the chargers for free as long as the state provides electricity. How long is this going to last? Mr. Parrish says, according to the feedback we hear at our sites, park visitors who use the stations are grateful they're there and they enjoy hiking or taking the scenery in while they charge. Well, I'm sure they're grateful that they're there. Who wouldn't want your car to be charged for free? I'd be grateful too. So how's the program working? Well, there's some great reviews in most cases. Online reviews left on platforms for electric vehicle drivers like PlugShare. Says one person says, awesome, right by the ranger station and boat ramp. Ranger said they're popular. Someone's charging here nearly every day. This was a Ford Lightning truck driver who wrote about this last year while using the charger at Devil's Fork State Park on Lake Jocassee in the upstate of South Carolina. She was one of 21 users to leave a review. Another reviewer said, great that South Carolina State Parks have these, charging overnight after pulling my camper here. I went on a short hike and returned to a fully charged car, a Fiat driver says. Another reviewer says, on a sunny day, you can walk the beach if it's not so nice out. There's also a cute little gift shop, and you get your car charged while you're waiting. Wow. We're now offering electric vehicles free charges. I want my gas. Where do I get my gas? Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. On the text line, JR writes, for those who support birthright citizenship, they don't understand the 14th Amendment. It applies specifically to former slaves that were either brought to America or born here, not for the children of illegal aliens. Paul writes, Paul here, root causes. I was a trained root cause investigator for my company up north. Nothing magic, just keep asking why until you can't. Now you're trained. Thank you, Paul. Paul says, real hard. If I could do it, anyone can, except those who are predisposed towards an agenda. Jordan on the MyPillow message line says he has a solution to the problem with federal workers who don't want to show up at their office for work. Here's Jordan.
Hey, Joey, it's Jordan from Joanna. I have a perfect solution for the federal employees. Let's just let's pay them based on their work week. If you do not clock in the office and you do not work 40 hours a week, then your pay gets docked. You know, I don't know how much they make per month or whatever, but let's base it off of a regular hourly employee. You know, if I don't show up for work, then I lose part of my pay. Let's do the same thing for them. We will dock your salary if you do not show up for work. Sounds like a win-win to me. You have a good day. God bless America.
Jordan, as I responded to you via text, you're not going to make a very good government employee because you have too much common sense. Appreciate the message there. Your messages are welcome as well on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. And when you go to MyPillow.com, be sure and use promo code Joey. As you all know, Mike Lindell and the MyPillow no longer have the support of their box stores, their brick and mortar stores. So he depends on radio listeners like you and me to keep the wonderful people at MyPillow employed. They've been part of this cancel culture. So they want to pass savings directly to you. And boy, do they do that. Just go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Joey. You'll see all the savings there. You can also call 800-893-4059, 800-893-4059. Be sure and use promo code Joey, and you're going to have all kinds of great New Year's, as we are in this 2025 year, lots of great things happening for our country. Let's support Mike Lindell. The six-pack towel sets, for example, the MyPillow standard pillows. You're going to have the best night's sleep you've ever had. MyPillow.com. Use promo code Joey. NASCAR drivers hit speeds of nearly 200 miles per hour yesterday after the green light was waved for the Daytona 500. It was sort of an on-again, off again, as rain delayed things there a couple times. President Trump was on hand for the start of the Great American Race, leading the drivers on a lap before the race began. It's the second time President Trump has attended. Ahead of the call for drivers to start their engines, Trump talked with Fox Sports' Jamie Little and applauded the race drivers for competing in the event.
Well, I'm joined now by the President of the United States. Mr. President, 5 years ago, we were standing in this very spot. What brings you back to the Great American Race?
Well, I think it's fantastic. It's great for the country. Our country is doing well again, and we have spirit all over the world. There's spirit again. We brought it back, and it's been less than 4 weeks. So you'll see what we do in a little period of time. It's going to only get better, but this is very exciting.
You brought your granddaughter. I know some of your other family members are here. You get to take a ride around in the Beast. What is that like?
I'll let you know in about 2 minutes because they're going to be going quite quickly, I understand.
And you just got to meet some of the drivers. Are you going to get on the radio again and talk to them before the start of this?
And I say they have a lot of courage doing this. It's I see it, and I've been here, and they have a lot of guts, as they would say.
Mr. President, enjoy your time.
Thank you very much. Great.
Mike.
It was classic Trump as he led the drivers, the cars around the lap. He was in the Beast, of course, but they picked up some pretty good speed there. Trump also had a message for the drivers. He was patched into their radios before the green flag was waved as he was making that lap around in the Beast.
And Mr. President, the radio is yours. This is your favorite president. I'm a big fan. I am a really big fan of you people that you do this. I don't know, but I just want you to be safe. You're talented people, and you're great people and great Americans. Have a good day. Have a lot of fun, and I'll see you later.
As he arrived at Daytona yesterday, Trump talked about the American spirit in a statement. He said, "This iconic race showcases the fastest, most fearless drivers in motorsports who represents our nation's love of tradition, competition, and automotive innovation." He said the Daytona 500 brings together people from all walks of life, from lifelong racing fans to first-time spectators. They all join in celebrating a shared passion for speed, adrenaline, and the thrill of the race. The president was joined at the track by Eric Trump, Luke Trump, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, John Paul Duffy, Patrick Duffy, Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, Kathy Burgum, Senators Todd Young, Ashley Moody, and Representative Jason Smith, Byron Donalds, and others were in the Trump group there. It was great. When he was being interviewed by Fox there beside the track, he had his little young granddaughter there with him as well. You know, we're seeing a lot of these young kids, like Elon Musk's son was with him in the Oval Office the other day, and it really just shows you how family-friendly the Trump administration is. And that's a great look. I love it. I love it. Moving on, Border Czar Tom Holman recalled yesterday on Fox News how he had to educate Democrat New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez about the inner workings of border law after her recent public pushback in telling him to learn to read the Constitution. He took us back to 2019 when Holman stopped Ocasio-Cortez's attack against him during a congressional hearing, where he had to inform her that border laws mirrored U.S. laws when you're discussing family separation. Yesterday, on Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo, the Fox News host asked Mr. Holman for his response to AOC, who had recently posted on X stating that Holman should learn to read and start with the Constitution in response to his Department of Justice warning. Here's the exchange.
Well, I mean, look, you've got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez doing webinars to explain to illegal immigrants how to evade ICE arrests. And then she tweeted out after something you said maybe she's going to be in trouble now. And she says maybe he can learn to read the Constitution would be a good place to start. She's continuing her resist efforts against your efforts, Tom.
Look, I forgot more about the Constitution, immigration enforcement as you ever know. I mean, I had to educate her during congressional testimony that entering the country illegally is a crime. So, whatever. But what she needs to do is read the statutes enacted by Congress. Title 8, United States Code 1324, United States. Title 8, United States Code 1324 and 25. That's what she needs to read, because it's illegal to enter this country. It's a crime to enter this country illegally. Not only that, when you harbor and conceal and impede law enforcement, that's a felony. So what she's doing, she says she's educating them as to constitutional rights, and we all know they got constitutional rights. But what she's really doing, you and I and the rest of the country knows, she's trying to teach them how to evade law enforcement. Now, I just said, well, out of the gate, we're concentrating on public safety threats, national security threats. So she's educating those in the country illegally with a significant criminal conviction, public safety threat. Don't open your door. Don't dot the I's. Here's how you invade law enforcement. Let's hope she's not educating the next person who gets out and murders a young college student in Georgia. I mean, these are bad people we're looking for. So she can call it education all she wants, but we all know it's about evading law enforcement. These people have been ordered removed. The people we're looking for right now have final orders. They're criminals. They're in the country illegally. A judge has ordered them removed. They become a fugitive. And these are the folks she's helping. So I've asked the Department of Justice to look at this. Where is the line on impediment? Where does that fine line so we can instruct ICE officers what they can do when people don't open the doors or try to evade their arrest? So I simply asked DOJ, give me a legal opinion, because every Department of Justice will interpret things differently. What is the legal opinion on impediment? And we'll see what happens.
It'll be interesting to watch. And what does a U.S. congressperson, a member of Congress like AOC, what are her limits? During a July 2019 congressional hearing, they were talking about family separations on the border. That's when Holman and Ocasio-Cortez kind of became sparring partners there, after she attempted to pin him down as the author of the family separation policy memo. Holman quickly clarified that he did not write the policy and reminded the Democrat lawmaker that U.S. citizens are also separated from their children after being arrested, which was a good point. Remember that? AOC didn't have a comeback for that one. Holman went on to warn that Ocasio-Cortez is teaching illegal migrants how to evade law enforcement, adding that he hopes anyone listening to her doesn't end up murdering a young college student in Georgia, of course referring to 22-year-old Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. And the list goes on of people who have been terrorized by these illegals. During a virtual event, Ocasio-Cortez was seen talking with people about knowing their rights when ICE comes around. She was coaching them on how to evade ICE, basically, how to evade being deported. In response, Holman later warned her that he's working with the DOJ to determine whether she legally crossed the line by potentially impeding ICE agents' duties. Now, the Democrat lawmaker is mocking him on X, saying maybe, and she misspelled a lot of the words and all, saying maybe she's going to be in trouble now. Maybe he can learn to read. The Constitution would be a good place to start, she said. Look, I'm going to place my bets on Tom Holman over AOC. What about you? Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. Obviously, the big thing that has captured Americans' interest in the headlines is the work of Elon Musk and Doge. And now we've got a lot of states thinking, well, maybe we should do the same thing at a state level. And I hope we're going to have cities and counties and school districts thinking the same way. The Post and Courier in Charleston, South Carolina, they cover the entire Palmetto State, in their weekend Palmetto Politics column, raised an interesting question. There's a movement underway to establish a South Carolina Doge-like commission that would dig into state spending just like Elon Musk has done at the national level. The Post and Courier asked, though, since the GOP has pretty much had control of the state legislature for almost 30 years now, what they are expecting to find and who would be responsible for any potential waste uncovered. According to reports out of Columbia, the proposed legislation would target wasteful, fraud, and oppressive spending and regulations in the state's budget. The Post and Courier writes, so why are Republicans offering it when they've been running the show? It's a valid question, isn't it? The sponsor of the bill, South Carolina Senator Stephen Goldfinch, he's a Republican from Murrells Inlet, told reporters he does see a state-level Doge commission as necessary in recognizing that 100% there is a problem, he says. He said, I'm ready to break some things. I'm ready to fix some things. So if the question is it an admission of guilt that we haven't done what we should have done? Yeah, the answer is yes. But I'm ready to fix it. So here's where we are. The state Senate recently filed a joint resolution with the House that would set up a 9-member commission of non-legislators mirroring the Federal Department of Government Efficiency. President Donald Trump created the idea after he recast the U.S. Digital Service to create Doge, putting Elon Musk in charge. The legislation was discussed during a February 13th committee session last week, where Senator Goldfinch said his vision of the South Carolina Doge would not be the same as the D.C. Doge. He told the Post and Courier, I don't think we're going to find billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse in South Carolina's budget. We only have a $14 billion state budget. You're not going to find $14 billion a week in waste, fraud, and abuse. I think that's the main concern, is over-promising and under-delivering. The legislation says that the commission will be in charge of conducting a survey of the structure and funding of state government to determine how to modernize toward being less costly and more efficient. The idea of seeking efficiency and cost savings, of course, is not necessarily new. According to the Post and Courier, There are a number of state government efficiency studies that have been done in South Carolina. Most recently, the House Government Efficiency and Legislative Oversight Committee has been actively collecting public feedback to identify potential inefficiencies in agencies like the Department of Insurance, the State Law Enforcement Division, and the Department of Education. The state also has an Office of Internal Auditor, a State Inspector General, and some other safeguards that it has implemented over the years to ensure government runs smoothly. Senator Goldfinch said he believes the House Ways and Means Committee does a, quote, very good job of stewarding our state's money, but these entities don't have the ability to see true waste and fraud, he said. Like some of the earmarks, some of the special projects that state legislators are still allowed to do. Democrats, meanwhile, were very quick to call the Doge idea in the Palmetto State a stunt, giving the rolling GOP changeover of the state dates back to around the Carroll Campbell era in the 1980s. The state Democrat Party said Republicans are out there to create another level of bureaucracy. The party warned, don't be fooled. This is political theater at taxpayers' expense. Senator Ed Sutton, the Democrat from Charleston, said the Republicans have had the House, Senate, and governor's mansion for 20 plus years. If there's any waste in the state, it's because they put it in there. Again, that's a valid point, isn't it? Sutton said he's skeptical of the proposal because there's no clarity on how the commission will work. He says it's window dressing. Representative Roger Kirby, a Democrat from Lake City, South Carolina, was a little more succinct, according to the Post and Courier, calling the move a political stunt to get on the Trump train. Now, this commission, if the law is passed, if this becomes reality, would consist of 3 members appointed by the Senate President, 3 appointed by the Speaker of the House, and 3 appointed by the governor. No one on the commission, including its chair, would be paid for their role. So this is a volunteer committee, kind of like Elon Musk, volunteering at the federal level. No one from the General Assembly can serve, but a past member of the legislature could. The Senator Goldfinch said, you need people from various walks of life and various industries. If you don't pick the right people, you're not going to get the right result. And he's right there. You need to have people who don't have those relationships in government, who aren't afraid to question things that our existing government's doing, or it's not going to be effective, right? The bill's language states that the chair, which is a non-voting member, would be the director of the South Carolina Department of Administration, who is currently Marsha Adams. They could designate someone else if she didn't choose to do so. Goldfinch had floated the idea of Mike Shealy chairing the commission, who has experience as the Senate's budget director and leadership in the Department of Administration as well. Here's a good thing if this takes place, and this is what I like about Doge as well at the federal level. It has a sunset in there. It has an end date. The commission would cease to exist after October of 2026, which is kind of in line with Elon Musk's organization. Goldfinch says 2 years is not enough time to review all the state regulations. If it goes well, he expects the state to reauthorize the program and extend that date. So far, the lawmakers have adopted 2 amendments, primarily just little tweaks here and there. One, change the name of it and that type of thing. But it looks like it's heading in the right direction. And maybe this should be done at all levels of government. Maybe counties should look at doing this. County councils, maybe city councils should be looking at this. Maybe school boards should be looking at this. And I would suggest that you get business owners, you get people in the community who are active and don't mind rolling their sleeves up, spending some time on this, and really digging deep into how money is being spent. And I got a feeling that we could save a lot of money. What do you think? You like the idea? You like where this is headed? Or is this just another, as the Democrats saying, is this window dressing? Is this just another level of bureaucracy? I think if it's done right, it's not. I think if it's done right, you get the right people on there, and that's going to be the key to it, because when you have any kind of committee like this or commission who's appointed by the governor and the legislature, there's a bit of politics in there, because the governor is going to appoint people that probably have contributed to his campaign. Legislature is going to appoint people who have helped them. But we'll see. It's a good start. You agree? That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.